So we're getting ready for the first FR Formula Regional Americas race of the season for 2023. A whole host of new drivers and new participants in the championship. Up for grabs, some $600,000 for the winner to go and race in Super Formula and chase the likes of Lawson and Pato O'Ward, who came before him, and now Raoul Hyman, our current champion, who's headed to Japan. But this series has seen some greats come through. People like Kyle Kirkwood, now in IndyCar. And now we've got a whole bunch of new names. And a guy I know well, Callum Hedge, he's right here, coming from New Zealand. He's been racing in New Zealand for the last 6 weeks, but this is his first venture into the States. Callum, how do you feel?
Yeah, good, Jonathan. I'm about to go car racing, and we'll see how we go.
All right, what do you think? What do you think of America?
It's a bit different to little old New Zealand. The population's a bit bigger, the culture's a bit different, and the racing's a bit different as well. But absorbing it all, going as best as we can, and hopefully we go a bit better in the race.
All right, give it full jandle, as they say down there. We'll be watching Callum Hedge. They're watching live in New Zealand, so welcome New Zealand and Australia. Next to him, Cooper Becklin, coming back for another season of racing. Here's a good story. How about this? Nick Persing was in the last race. Nick, how you holding up? You were in the last Radical race.
I'm pretty good. You know, I've been working out harder than I ever have because I knew this race was going to be a tough one, but I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go. Front row, just focus on a good start, and hopefully we can drive away with the win.
Do you feel like this season could be yours?
Yeah, I do. We'll see what it has to offer, but you know, still figuring a couple things out, but I definitely feel like I got a shot at the championship this season.
All right, well, watch out for Nick Persing. He's in the number 29. But the big news for the day has to be this man, Ryan Shehan. He is from Austin, Texas. As an 8-year-old, he went to COTA, fell in love with motorsport. He's never looked back. He, too, has been racing down in New Zealand. So it's obviously been working out, the practice you've been doing down under, because you're pole today.
Yeah, it's helped a lot racing in New Zealand. We had some mega pace in qualifying, so hopefully we can translate that to a race win.
But this is your first FR America's race, so not bad to be on pole, huh?
Yeah, not bad.
All right, can you do it, though?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, watch out for Ryan Sheehan. He's going for it right from the get-go. He's in the number 66. As you can see, they're starting the engine, so I'll get out of the way, and let's go racing. I better piss off.
Well, here we are watching the Formula Regional Americas group going out. NOLA Motorsports Park at the NOLA Speed Tour. Let me run through the grid real quick, and then I'll introduce our special guest. It's an honor to have Carl Bennett, the number 9 from F4 Ganella Racing. He actually won feature race 1 today, so he knows how to get around this track. So let me go through the grid here real quick, and then I'm going to come to you, Carl. All right. Number 1 is Oliver Westling, racing with Janzen. Number 3 is Hayden Bowlsbey with IGY6 Motorsports. Austin Hill, number 8. Number 12 is Manuel Roza from Mexico City, Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. We heard from Callum Hedge from Auckland, New Zealand, Crosslink Kiwi Motorsport, number 17. Cooper Becklin, number 19, Westling, Oregon. Number 22, Max Hewitt, Houston, Texas. Number 24, Kevin Janzen, Deerfield Beach, Florida. We heard from Nick Persing, who's having a really good run this weekend in the Radicals. Number 29, Morgan Hill, California, Cameron Racing. Bryson Morris from my neck of the woods, Nashville, Tennessee, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Crosslink Kiwi. Ryan Shehan, 66, starting in first. So congratulations, Ryan Shehan. Had a great show of it last year in our F4 US Championship. Now he and Bryson Morris have moved up, as it were, into the FR group. So now, Carl, explain to everybody what this NOLA Motorsports Park is to you.
Well, it's a, I'd say it's a pretty tough circuit. You know, it's got its bumps in the high-speed corners and whatnot. And they, yeah, you really have to just go for it in order to be fast. Yeah, overall, it's just a whole lot of fun.
Now, have you raced in Thailand?
No, I haven't raced in Thailand. I've driven like Formula cars a little bit, and they, yeah, they've got a nice track over there.
So what was it about the F4 US Championship that drew you to compete in that?
I'd say, I mean, it seems like a very competitive type of series. That was why I went with it. And I mean, I think this year it's going to be even tougher because we've got like 30 cars or something, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the talent pool in F4 keeps getting thicker and thicker. And now when you're on this formation lap and you're coming to grid up on this front straight and you're looking for the lights, what's your heart doing? What are you telling yourself? What are you concentrating on?
Really, I'm just looking at the lights and making sure to just do what I know. And yeah, you know, you can feel like your everything kind of slows down, everything kind of stops. But yeah, as soon as it's go time, you just do what you know.
Yeah, I love it. Well, we had a great grid walk from Jonathan Green, who's going to be joining us here in a little bit. Carl Bennett, the number 9 F4 Ganella Racing, won the feature race 1. So Jonathan, I don't know how you got up here so quick, but you're excited. I know you're a friend from New Zealand's in this race. And
oh, I'm loving this.
This
is what it's all about. Got Carl Bennett here. He should be able to tell us exactly what's going on out there. And like I said, Ryan Shehan from Austin, Texas, my hometown, on the pole. Still moving into position though. Thanks to Ben bringing us in. We'll be hearing from F4 driver Carl Bennett as the race goes on. But a small field, but a great chance. 600 grand to be won by Honda to go Super Formula Racing. That's what Raul Hyman won last year. On go the red lights, up go the revs. We are racing at NOLA for round 1 of the FR Championship. Away goes Ryan Sheehan, covering his position from the pole. Nick Persing, who was in the last race, funnily enough in Radical, says he's been working out. He certainly knows the track. He's been out there most of the day. But a good clean start. And Carl, what's the key to racing here at NOLA? Because it's tough out there. I mean, there's not a lot of places to overtake, and it's bumpy.
Yeah, you really just want to make sure you're on the limit as soon as you get off the line. It's going to be real tricky because the tires aren't up to temp, but you really just want to make sure you have every single bit of time, you know, just going as fast as you can, really.
Good start from Ryan Shehan. He's pulling away from the pack already, and they won't want to let him do this because Ryan, well known for his metronomic way of racing. He just goes about it, group after group. Good start from Callum Hedge. Hit a bit of dirt there, but he's made up a place. He's up to 3rd place now, is the Kiwi. Runner-up in the Toyota Racing Series down in New Zealand just 5 weeks ago. A former champion in '86 and in lower formula. And will be racing, in fact, for Earl Bamber in Porsche as well this season. So he's already done 1 season. He's starting another one now, and he's going to do a 3rd one before he's done with the month. Pretty impressive stuff. So these guys like racing. Nick Persing doing 2 races in 1 day. Callum Hedge doing 3 seasons in one season.
And one thing I just love about these series with F4 and FR is just seat time. You know, if you're really trying to develop drivers, Scott Goodyear, you just can't find a better driver coach, driver development person than Scott Goodyear. We go side by side, number 39 and the 3 go at it.
Yeah, that's
Bryson
good.
Morris and Hayden Bowlsbey from New Orleans hit tire to tire.
Yeah, Hayden Bowlsbey came up and did a commentary with me earlier today, so he has got his tail up. He's been 3 years in Formula 4, and this is his 2nd run at FR, so really looking forward to this. Listen, it's wheel-to-wheel action, great stuff. And Callum Hedge learning how America goes for the first time, and he's up against returning driver Oliver Westling from California for Janzen Racing. But it is Shehan, Persing, Hedge, Becklin, Westling, Morris, Bowlsbey, Roza from Mexico City, Roza, as is rightly pronounced, Hewitt from Houston, Texas, Janzen and Hill. That's your lineup.
Well, Carl, what are you seeing out there? Because I saw you reach for the brakes with your foot there, and you kind of got really into it. So what are you seeing from a driver perspective?
Well, I just wanted to mention, I mean, man, I can feel how loose the cars are out there.
Yeah.
Like, I saw that Janzen really kicking a little oversteer there, so I guess maybe my feet kind of just went by itself. But, yeah.
No, it's good. You live it, mate. How grippy is the track? Because it doesn't get used as much as some tracks do, and there's a lot of track days here and a lot of tough weather as well.
I have a feeling the grip isn't as good as last year. That doesn't mean the track is worse necessarily. You know, a challenge is always nice. but our times are in qualifying are slower than last year's times anyways. So yeah, the grip I think is pretty interesting, and it's been changing, so adapting is important.
Now in these FR cars they were talking about, they have a little bit more downforce and turbo than the F4 cars, and passing becomes interesting. We were talking to Ernie Francis Jr. about that. That's a little bit harder to pass, so coming into 1 down that long straight, that seems to be the place to go, maybe 3, but then if you pass at 3, you might set yourself up poorly for turn 4, which they're coming to now. Where are the passing zones for you?
For me, I'd say turn 1 definitely is a passing zone. Turn 3, turn 4. After the S's, and yeah, mainly those are the places where you can pass, you know, the heavier braking zones.
And Jonathan, I know you got to be just super excited to see the FR F4 season start. You love these open wheelers.
Yeah, I do, because what you're seeing here is a glimpse into the future, whether you're an IndyCar fan or a Formula One fan. Remember, this is an FIA championship for 18 super license points. So very valuable indeed. The guy leading at the moment, Ryan Shehan, has been with the F4 championship the last couple of years and stepped into FR, got pole position today, but he's chasing more points. Oh, somebody's spinning there. And that's the number 3 spinning round. Hayden Bowlsbey, the local man, getting it wrong at his own track. But meanwhile, the lead of the man I was just talking about, Ryan Shehan, is increasing. He's doing a good job at the moment. He got a great start. And like I said, he's metronomic in his lap pace. He just doesn't waver from that. Saw that in New Zealand with him. And he's just very, very precise about his racing. Doesn't take risks that aren't needed to be taken. Meanwhile, Oliver Weston, Callum Hedge continuing their battle. Hedge just in front of him in the 17.
I was seeing smoke coming out of the rear of the car as they were coming through 15 there. And that's where the car looped around, so I'm not sure if maybe somebody's dropping something, but you can really see the bumps. There's a part where the inside tire is fully elevated from the track. Are you feeling that in the car?
Yeah, I'd definitely say in the F4 cars we can feel the bumps and everything. So yeah, it is quite a bumpy track.
This is the first of 3 races in the weekend, so that's another thing. It's all about self-preservation as well. You don't want to get into trouble in the first race. You want to make sure that the tires underneath you are working and that everything is going according to plan. And you certainly don't want to get into a tussle, not in this first race, and cause damage that you don't need. That said, it looks as though Hedge and Westling are going for an almighty fight here in 4th place. They dropped a few places. Hedge was up to 2nd at one point, dropped down to 3rd, and now he's battling just to stay in 4th place here. Becklin ahead of them, then Persing in 2nd place, and Shehan has gone.
A replay of the spin coming up here in just a little bit. So now we're going to get to the bottom of the spin.
Here we go then. Carl, we'll see your genius on this. Did he? That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's real tough. I'm not sure what happened, but definitely looked like he just lost it on the entry, and the rear just came around. I think maybe it could have been the bumps. You know, those that definitely makes it very tricky.
So the race settling down now and starting to spread out as well. The leaders, Shehan with just just under a second, half a second over ahead of Persing, but the real battle is here between Callum Hedge and Oliver Westling. Westling going round the outside of Callum Hedge. Look, it's great racing. And remember, this is the first race of the season. Hedge had an engine issue in qualifying because he'd been at the top of the times with Sheehan, his teammate, throughout practice, but had some problems in qualifying, and really enjoying working with the Crosslink Kiwi team. Of course, a home team for him, having just raced at home. It's been a busy schedule. He heads back tomorrow night, back home, and he'll be off to Australia the day after that.
Wow.
To do Porsche racing with Earl Bamber.
Now that's Bryson Morris, who did really well in our championship last year in F4.
Yep.
Moved up to FR, and I expect him to have a really great FR season this year. I know him to be a really good, talented, smooth driver. So once these F4 drivers get used to this new FR platform. They seem to get really fast, don't they?
Yeah, and it's interesting. You've got the likes of Bryson Morris and Nick Persing, Oliver Westling, Hayden Bowlsbey, all coming back to this series, but weren't big, big I-ams last year. And then you've got the likes of Brian Sheehan coming up from F4. He was in contention for the title throughout most of the year, all the way to COTA. Mathematically, it went wrong at VIR for him. And then you've got, guys that we don't know much about. Max Hewitt from Houston, Texas. And then
Austin
Manuel
Hill.
Roza. Yeah, Austin Hill. Manuel Roza from Mexico City, yeah. Yeah, Austin Hill started at the back in the number 8, but we're going to see what he can do, the man from Ohio. I like the colors on the car, though.
Yeah, you're not going to miss that car. So from a suspension setup, you're seeing these cars kind of skip around the turn like that. What are you seeing, Carl?
I'm not very knowledgeable in the setup side of things. I just drive. But these cars, I mean, you could definitely bottom out on the exit of that corner that we saw the 8 going around here. You really don't want to bottom out like you just want to make sure you're on the right places, putting the car where you want it to be. And yeah.
Either an engineer's nightmare or an engineer's dream, because an engineer can get the setup he wants and say, that's the right setup, now drive it, Carl. Or he's looking for feedback and they're all going around in circles and he's like, man, I'm just here to drive. So across the strip comes Shehan again in the famous 66. He's had those colors and those numbers. He needs some sponsors on the front of that car, though. It's a little black for my liking. And there's Nick Persing, decided to write his own name on the side there by the looks of things.
I love it. Nick had a great season with us last year. I believe he was on the podium with us at Road America and at COTA. He was on the podium with us at COTA, not feeling well, and still did it. Still had a fantastic race. So looking for big things from Nick Persing, and we're seeing going right from a Radical into this FR. He is in it to really get as much seat time as possible.
Yeah, it must be a completely different car. As you heard it when I was talking to him on the grid, he was saying, I've had to really work out because I knew I'd hit this situation. He literally didn't get to the podium. That's how much time he had. He had to miss the podium to get to his car to get out there. But yeah, he's a great character, and I wish him well. And you heard I asked him whether it was his season, because he's another one that's returning and looking to make this a big season. And there is a lot on offer for these guys. And don't think for 1 minute that the IndyCar teams and the FIA F3 teams and the teams around the world who are watching this on the live streams aren't looking for young talent to put in their cars. And this is where they look.
Yeah, for sure. If you're just tuning in, there's F4 US Championship that we saw earlier. This is FR or F3. And this is basically the ladder up to F1. But the thing that I love about this, having 2 sons that are interested in racing, is the driver development, the time, the effort that Scott Goodyear and his whole staff puts into making great drivers all around from a PR perspective, but also on track. And there's a difference between a fastest lap and racing laps. And I love the approach that Scott Goodyear takes with each of these drivers.
Yeah, and in many ways, and I don't know if Carl would agree, but these informative years in F4 and FR are really what makes and breaks a good driver. It's expensive. You don't get a lot of time on track, but the time you get must be used wisely. I heard Scott in the driver's briefing saying, listen, we're here to learn, and if you crash in the first corner because you're really trying too hard, then you're not going to learn anything, and you're going to waste your weekend and your mother and your parents, money. And so, it really is that. If you can come through this clean and learning every lap and every weekend, then you're going to go good, and you're actually got a future in this.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult from a driver's perspective that you want to go fast, but you also want to finish the race, So it's really tough finding that balance.
Yeah, you want to be aggressive, but not overly so. So Hayden Bowlsbey in
the paddock, yep.
Yeah,
car number 3. Great shots here. Bryson Morris, that number 39. To me, that's Dylan Tavella's car. I don't know if that is Dylan Tavella's car from last year, but it looks like it. Dylan Tavella, one of our fastest drivers, fighting for the championship with Raul Hyman. And like I said, Bryson Morris, Ryan Sheehan, and I heard it.
Whoa,
look at the
big
tire
lockup.
smoke.
Very big lockup.
And he's gone off track, and he's luckily, he's got some asphalt there he can use, and he doesn't gain anything from that, so I don't think he's going to be penalized in any way. He just missed his braking point, but he gets back on. Go ahead.
Wisely uses the escape road, but Lockie Hughes, Bryson Morris and Ryan Shehan were right in it to the end of Circuit of the Americas for the championship in F4. So it's great to see them moving up the ladder as Ryan Shehan and Bryson Morris are doing.
Yeah, and Lockie Hughes, Josh Carr, 2 Australians who've come through this field, and I'm glad to see so many foreigners coming here to the USA to get a good price point and to get a good championship with safe racing and to learn their way here, and wherever they go afterwards, they'll remember their days here. And it's great to see the Aussies doing well. We've seen Callum Hedge just join this year. We had Ryan Yardley last year. He's still here helping mechanic Cooper Becklin at the moment. And it really is going from strength to strength. I remember when Kyle Kirkwood won the first FR championship, now an IndyCar driver, of course, for Andretti, going great. But it just shows you how quickly these guys can rise to suddenly be the teammate to, you know, some of the greats of Indy. Very quickly indeed. And in fact, in Dakota Dickerson's case, he got taken on by Honda and has been racing sports cars for them. And so there is definitely a future if you are able to get a good result out of this season. Raul Hyman on his way to Japan now.
And speaking of driver development, like our good friend, you know, 6-time, 7-time champion in Trans Am, Ernie Francis Jr., that did one season of FR and now is doing Indy next. He couldn't believe, and I couldn't believe he said this because I thought the Trans Am cars were super rough. He couldn't believe how physical it was in the first couple races, and he's had to really boost his endurance and the shape that he's in to race these open wheel cars just because of the G-forces. Have you experienced that yet?
I'd say in NOLA, the last corner definitely can take out your arms. And in my opinion, this actually is one of the most physical races of the season. But I mean, we'll see with the changes in grip this year. Maybe that could happen at other tracks, and then it you know, becomes physical also.
Well, Road America is now glass smooth. They've just repaved all of Road America, so that we should be setting some records with that one.
Well, that'd be fun. We're looking at Callum Hedge on track with the Giltrap Group and his sponsors that he had in New Zealand. You can see the Kiwi Driver Fund, Tony Quinn, owner of 3 circuits down there, and they'll be tuning in New Zealand to see how he goes. A lot of high hopes for him. He's following a series of great Kiwi drivers. I mean, look at Indy this year. You've got Marcus Armstrong, who came from the same series that Callum came from. In fact, 2 series that Callum came from. Then you've got Scott McLaughlin, of course, who did most of his driving in Australia in supercars, and Scott Dixon, who came through the ranks in New Zealand. And so we've got 3 Kiwis at the top of Indy right now, and many more underneath. You've got people like Jacob Douglas racing on the road to Indy and several others. So the Kiwi advance continues here, and Callum's just the next off the boat, if you will.
I love these shots going through Mission Foods turn 15. You can really see when they come out of that rhythm section S's, you can kind of see how the downforce is keeping them planted and then hard onto the brakes for that right-hander. This is a pretty technical track.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's technical. If I had to say which part is the most technical part, maybe I'd say that last sector. So
yeah,
when you have that big braking into turn 13, I believe it is, and then you've got the left-hander, and then just the last few bits. Yeah.
We're taking a look at the 12 of Roza, Manuel Roza of Mexico City. His family here, mother, father, watching him race, and they all came with their hats for the weekend. And he was telling me about the Mexican scene, saying that basically, unless you sort of get out of the NICAM or NACAM series, the F4, and move away from Mexico, really your single-seater options are totally limited in Mexico. And of course, he's trying to follow in the footsteps of a Pato Award and many others to see what he can do. And he's just a teenager, so this is the right time to come. And we wish him well. His first outing in the number 12. Somebody locking up there.
Yeah.
By the way, we've hardly seen Shehan, but we shouldn't, because he's 1 second up the road at the moment. And when you're having an easy time of it, or at least dominating the race, you don't get a lot of TV time because we're always looking for the battles. So Shehan controlling this race from Nick Persing. The gap already quite a mountain to climb for Persing and Becklin in 3rd place.
Ooh,
2.5 seconds at the moment. There is Persing in second. Whoa.
Look at his hands. He's way off wide
Going
there.
wide there.
Whoa,
You
he was
saw him
fighting
lock
that.
up his fronts. Nick
Cooper
Persing.
Side by side.
Yep, Cooper Becklin will take advantage of that. Thank you very much. Nick Persing making a big mistake there, and the battle's on, and this is only going to play into Ryan Sheehan's hands. Originally from Horseshoe Bay, the Austin Texan.
Cooper Becklin was with us last year and had a great outing with us at Dakota last year, but did a lot of the races in the season, so it's great to have him back. But speaking of the season and the championship, Carl Bennett, you couldn't be in a better seat right now than winning the first race. So now approaching for a championship, what's your approach into race 2 and 3 of this weekend?
Just replicate what I did in race 1, really.
There you go, that's the answer.
Yeah. Do what
How do you
know.
feel? What are your ambitions? What would you like to do in five years from now? Where would you like to see yourself?
I mean, any professional racing is real nice. I'd say my main aim at the moment is Formula 1.
Yep.
But yeah, just something that I can do professionally.
Who's your man in Formula 1? Who do you look up to?
Well, it's got to be
Oh.
Albon, right?
I mean, as a Thai, it's a pretty big thing, you know, in Thailand. Alex Albon, everybody, you know, loves him. He's a pretty cool guy. But I got to be honest with you. I feel like every single day I'm having to just change who's my favorite. I like them all.
I love it. That's great. Carl Bennett talking to us. He, of course, an F4 driver, an American Thai, as Ben mentions. And yeah, I spent a lot of time doing racing in Asia. Some great talent over there too. And the Thais love their racing.
This is Kevin Janzen. He was with us a lot last year. Really fun to have him out there.
Yeah,
He's,
slightly older than some of the other
definitely
competitors.
older than everybody else, but in better shape than some of the other
Yeah,
drivers
that's
in the
true.
field too.
He loves his racing though, absolutely. And this is not an easy car if you're not a youngster and can be thrown around. As you say, very physical indeed. The thing about these cars is that, you know, they want them as stiff as possible so that the downforce works and they go as fast as possible, but that doesn't make it a comfortable ride. If you put your regular car springs on this, it would be slow.
Yeah, and those hand-cooked tires are doing a really good job of gripping, but they don't get the grip when the car's skipping across the turns like that, making it really difficult to drive.
Well, I mentioned that Ryan Sheehan's not getting a lot of TV time, and the reason is he's 6 seconds up the road as Persing and Becklin started to do their fight. That just played into Sheehan's hands, as I thought it might, and he is off to the races quite literally as we continue to look at Janzen coming down the front straight now. Another good battle here.
They were at it all last year too. Cooper Becklin and Nick Persing. It's really fun to see them back at it. And look at how close these cars are racing.
Yeah, Cooper Becklin has now left his high jump days. I was asking him about that. He was a high school high jumper, very good one too. He's over 6 foot, but he can jump well over 6 foot too. But he said he hadn't had much of a chance since he's got out of school, but he's continued to do the racing. And here he is, lining himself up through the big machine vodka spike coolers to turn 1. Headed down to Bennett's at turn 3 in a moment. Little lock up from Persing.
I think I saw a shot of Bryson Morris back there off track. The number 39 car. Is Bryson Morris off? No, it doesn't say so.
Ooh, a big lock up there by Becklin. So Cooper Becklin pushing on with 3 minutes to go in this race, the first of 15 in the championship. Ryan Shehan from Texas totally dominating here, 7 seconds. He's going to be back and had a shower and gone home before the rest have finished.
Yeah, it's quite insane the gap that he has.
Especially in FR, I mean, especially in your first run. I mean, you know, he put on some good results in F4, got some good victories, got some great podiums, was vying for the title, but to come in here with this very strong return E-field of these two included, Persing and Becklin, and then to absolutely dominate the way he is. No cautions, he's just gone for it. Another lockup from Becklin. Is that setup or just pushing?
I'd say that's just pushing, you know. When you're so close to the other driver, it's really, really difficult to be able to focus on just what you need to do. And I would say you definitely get more inconsistent. I'm not too sure what how much aero wash these cars have, but I'm sure it's quite tough to drive, you know.
Well, we just got a glimpse of the leader going through his shot there. That's how far ahead he is. He's already going into turn 1 while the battle is on for second and third. 2 minutes left, and Cooper Becklin jigs out now to get alongside, but he's not going to do it this time. Persing's got the better line, and Persing holds on.
Some good racing room, though.
Really good. Persing must be feeling it now, though. This is his, well, he's been out on track for an hour now. In fact, longer than that, because the Radical races are some 40 minutes. These are 30 minutes. So he's been sat in a hot cockpit for the best part of just over an hour now.
And those Radicals are very physical as well, so he's getting beaten up this afternoon.
Yeah, he was in the thick of it there, too. Having a great battle. He's going to continue to do that as well, so good for him.
There is a car off at turn 4, I saw. Unless we're seeing it so fast, maybe that's the corner worker's car, but I think I saw an orange car.
No, there's a lot
there.
of dust flying up.
A lot of dust.
Dust there, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably the reason.
This should be our white flag lap here.
Yeah, we're getting down to the business end. Shehan with a 7.6. And I can't remember a race that has been so dominated in Formula Regional in a long, long time. He didn't get a win in New Zealand, but he came darn close, got a couple of podiums, and I think finished in the top 10, got himself some super license points. And this will be a big haul of points here. Here he comes to take the white flag. Young Ryan Shehan of Austin, Texas. I'm sure his dad, Doug, will be watching and thinking, oh, I got to get up again early tomorrow and get that sponsorship going.
I've raced against Shehan a little bit in F4, and I'd definitely say, yes, he's a talented driver.
Good. That's good news, because, yeah, it's a much easier way for you to judge at the wheel. We sit on the outside, and, yeah, we see the results, but we don't see, it's only when you're wheel to wheel where you really give respect and get to understand whether the guy is good or not and whether he's fair or not. And the one thing I know about Ryan is that he's a tough driver when he needs to be, but he's not he's a very fair driver. And like I said, I've described it already. He's very metronomic in his approach, very sated in his, he gets the adrenaline flowing, but he's very calm about his going about his business, and that's exactly what he's done here. Look at this, 9.2 seconds. This is a record in terms of my mind, in terms of Formula Regional, especially for a debut. Absolutely impressive. If this doesn't make some headlines, I don't know what will, but this is a heck of a start to his season. Well, we've got the winner of the first race in F4, and we're watching the winner of FR just stride his way through NOLA. They call it the Big Easy. Well, this was. They'll remember this race as the Big Easy for this man. He's well ahead of Persing and Becklin. Westling in 4th, Morris up to 5th. Hedge has dropped down to 6th place now, just ahead of Roza. Hewitt from Texas is in 8th position, so a couple of Texans out there, but it's this one from Austin, Texas, the home of the Circuit of the Americas, where he fell in love with the sport, and now he loves it more because he's winning, and he wins the first race of the Formula Regional 2023. Ryan Shehan in the 2023 season for Crosslink Kiwi wins in the 66, well ahead of this battle for second, which sees Persing take 2nd place and Becklin take 3rd. Well, it wasn't the closest of races for the win, but Ryan Shehan won't care about that. The more the better. That's the way to race. Absolutely take it to the opposition. And he's been faster. He's fastest or 2nd fastest in most of the free practices, so we knew this was on, but not by this much. So, Carl, what's your preparation tomorrow? Rice Krispies and out there, or 3-mile jog, or what do you do?
A lot of my routine before the races, I'd say I'd just be listening to some music.
What do you listen to?
Ooh.
That'd be telling.
I really like hip-hop,
Okay.
Yeah, but I also mix it up with some rock, too. And I've been getting into some reggaeton.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll send Ben down there. He plays live. He's a drummer. We'll get him down there. We'll get him to rile you up with some. So then, that is how we finish day 1 at the Big Easy, New Orleans in the background. Bourbon Street awaits for those who dare. But for me, it's a pipe and slippers and looking through the results, I think. Well done to Ryan Shehan. Excellent race for him. Doesn't get any better than that. That's just what he wanted. And if he can keep that up, the potential of that Honda prize of going to Super Formula awaits in Japan. Well, that's it for this. My thanks to Carl Bennett. He'll be back in action tomorrow. Ben Sissel will be everywhere, as always, in every shape and form. I'm Jonathan Green. We'll take a short break. We'll be back after this. Why not? We'll leave you with those thoughts. My thanks once again to Ben Sissel.